After finishing in the top 4 last season, Unai Emery's Aston Villa have set their sights even higher. Their impressive display versus West Ham showcased a team hungry to build on their success, with Emery pushing for even better performances. Determined to maintain their top 4 status, Villa are playing dynamic attacking football that reflects their ambition to remain among the Premier League elites. Here's how you can successfully recreate Unai Emery's Aston Villa tactics in FC24. We have seen that Unai Emery prefers to use a 4-4-1-1 system, having 2 banks of 4 in order to set up his defensive structure correctly, making it very difficult at times for the opposition to try and break down this side. Now, with the system in play, you will see 2 other formations formulate, a 4-4-2, having the centre forward and the striker pair up in the frontline areas, looking to help press and probe and cause a few mistakes or errors from the opposition. Whilst also, when in the aggressive attacking phases of play, you will see a 3-back system formulate with the right back and Matty Cash staying further back and helping to formulate that 3-man system. As we take a look at the tactical approach taken by Unai Emery and this Aston Villa side, the tactical vision should be set to kick and rush. Players such as Ollie Watkins, Morgan Rogers and even Leon Bailey tend to penetrate the opposition's backline with their pace, looking to run in behind, and that means you need to have assertive players with playing those longer balls further forward. Players such as Martinez, Pau Torres and even the likes of Digne and Tielemans are very well suited to collecting the ball deep and then spraying those longer passes in behind and further forward into the wider channels. Onto the defense and the defensive style, it should be set to pressure on heavy touch. Unai Emery does prefer his side to maintain its structural integrity at times. He doesn't want them to press too aggressively, as that can leave them exposed at the back. So a pressure on heavy touch approach will maintain that natural 4-4-1-1 structure or the 4-4-2 structure. But you will see a bit of pressing from the likes of Watkins, Rogers, the 2 wingers. They'll look to press aggressively against the opposition's back line. Now, if you are looking to be a bit more assertive and aggressive when out of possession of the ball, you can set this to press after possession loss, and this will just make sure that the team is pressing a bit more aggressively when out of possession. As you'll see here for the team's width, I have set this to 50, maintaining a nice solid man-v-man type defensive structure and system, making sure that every one of Aston Villa's players are responsible for at least one of the other opposition players when on the field. For the team's depth, I have set this to 75, creating a nice high line approach that can aid with the press in certain moments, but also compact the space between the lines, making it very difficult for the opposition to really generate a good offensive rhythm. The offensive approach for Aston Villa is simple. They do look to maintain possession at times. They can look to build up from the back. You will see elements of that, but they are very direct with their attacking run patterns and their style of play. You'll often see players such as Pau Torres, Lucas Digne, or even one of the deeper lying midfielders collect the ball and look to spray it further forward, or even the goalkeeper at times. You will see the likes of Martinez ping that ball further forward, looking to get runners in behind, and that does pose a threat, and that does make the opposition more wary, leading to a lot more space being allowed for your midfield to work into and work with. Now, essentially for the builder play, I have set this to long ball, as that will always be a viable option, having likes of Ollie Watkins or Rogers or Leon Bailey peeling off the back line and running into that open space, looking to make those penetrating runs. And that is also because the chance creation is set to direct passing, having those players, encouraging those players to make those aggressive, assertive runs. Now, like I said earlier, this will more or less allow the midfield to have a bit more space because the opposition's defense won't be pressing as high up, especially knowing that there will be a penetrative attacking threat in behind. The offensive width for the side I have set to 80. Now, essentially on the left-hand side, it will be Lucas Digne creating a lot of the space in the width, whereas down the right-hand side, it will be the likes of Leon Bailey, or even in certain moments the likes of Matty Cash. But they do look to try and stretch the play, opening up a bit more space centrally for the 2 strikers, as well as the 2 advancing midfielders. Onto the players in the box, and I have set this to 6, allowing for at least 3 players to be in and around that attacking zone, ready and waiting for the potential crosses or cutback opportunities. Now, more times than not, it will be at least your 2 strikers, with the addition of one of the deeper lying midfielders making that run further forward, or one of the wingers making that run into the box themselves. Then finally, the corners and the free kicks, as per always, should be set to 4. If we take a look at the individual player roles and instructions, we'll start off at the front with the striker in Ollie Watkins, who will be set to drift wide. Quite often we have seen Watkins peel off the opposition's backline areas and angle his runs into the wider zones of the field. Now, this is due to the fact that when they are pinging in those longer balls, they look to try and either ping it down the right or the left-hand channel. Now, the likes of Leon Bailey and Rogers tend to run into the wider right space, whereas the likes of Digne, McGinn, and even the likes of Watkins will do it down the left-hand channel. So that is why you want Watkins drifting all over the place except for the central zones. He will also look to make sure that he is making those runs in behind, looking to penetrate the opposition's backline with that aggressive, assertive run, and that has become a major feature to this Aston Villa attack. The interception should be set to normal, and then finally you want him to be able to come back on defense, And this paired up with the Morgan Rogers instructions will help create that front two system that will also look to drop into the midfield zones and make sure that that midfield area is solidified. Onto the center forward, and Rogers was more or less allowed to drift all over the place in the central zones out wide, and when the likes of Ollie Watkins was drifting into that wider left channel or the wider right space, you would see the likes of Rogers drifting into that central zone, almost taking up that striker role for himself. So you want him to maintain a balance with allowing him to drift, yes, but also maintain those nice central zones. The attacking runs should be set to false line, as we would see Rogers drop quite deep and try and link the play between the midfield and the attack. And he would often get on the ball and drive at the opposition, looking to make those aggressive runs, create those overloads, and create space for the other attackers in and around him. The interceptions for him as well will be set to normal, and then you want him to maintain a basic defensive support. The role of the right midfielder in Leon Bailey will be set to a basic defensive support as well as a balance width for the chance creation. Now, Leon Bailey will be the width provided down this wider right side, but you also want him in brief moments to come inside and combine very effectively with the likes of an Onana, a Rogers, a Watkins even, and that can help balance out the attacking run patterns that he will produce in game. Now, one of his most effective threats is to get in behind, using his pace, ball at his feet, looking to make those aggressive, assertive runs, looking to keep the opposition on the back foot as much as possible. So you do want him making those aggressive runs and pinging those longer balls into his run path, and therefore he will be able to attack from that wider right space. As you'll also see here, for the interceptions, it will be set to normal, and for the support on crosses, a balanced approach best suits how he plays. Sometimes he's in the attacking zones, other times he's on the edge of the area looking to help facilitate the play, or simply supply a cross or cutback opportunity. The left midfielder in John McGinn will be set to come back on defense, as he does have a lot of good work ethic and he does tend to have high work rates, whether it's on the offense or defensive phases of play. So he'll be set to come back and help the likes of Digne as much as possible down that wider left channel. Now, essentially, when John McGinn does attack and get forward, he does tend to, yes, be on the left touchline in brief moments, but also attack the half space, allowing him to drift inside a little bit more and open up that space for Lucas Digne to overlap him and attack that wider left channel. So in order to successfully get him to do that, I have set him to free roam as well as be the target player. As he is quite aggressive, he is quite physical, he does tend to back into the opposition fullback or one of their central midfielders, have the ball fired into him, hold up the play, and then lay it off to one of the other midfielders in and around him, or even the likes of the overlapping Lucas Digne. The interception should be set to aggressive, as he does add to that aggressive pressing style and mentality, and he also has a very good work rate to him, so you want to try and get the best out of him in those situations. And then of course, just like with the right midfielder, the left will also be set to maintaining a balanced crossing run. A midfield pairing of Tielemans as well as Onana works incredibly well together, with Onana being a bit more of the box-to-box physical presence and Tielemans being a bit more of the deep-lying facilitating creator for the side. So in order to successfully recreate Tielemans' role, he'll be set to stay back while attacking, allowing him to be the deepest midfield player, whilst also being on the edge of the box for most of the attacking outlet, looking to try and facilitate and rotate the play, or even just popping off long-range efforts. The interception should be set to normal, and then finally cover the central zones as well as stick to position. Now, due to the fact that Tielemans will be allowed to stay back while attacking, he will more naturally be in the deeper areas of the field, allowing him to collect the ball off of the back line and help progress the ball further forward. He'll even look to drop at times, show for the ball, show for those passes, and be a very good build-up player in that first phase. Onto the role of Onana in that right central midfield role, and he'll be set to maintaining a balanced attacking support along with a balanced crossing run. Now, if you do set this to get into the box as well as get forward, it will get him into those attacking zones quite a bit, and he can be a very effective attacker in brief moments, but it will also leave you very susceptible to certain counterattacks. So if the offense does break down, Onana will always be out of position, and that's not something that Unai Emery wants. So with this role, you will see him in the midfield competing, pressing, probing, and also making those adventurous attacking runs further forward when the opportunities do present themselves, which is exactly what you would want from your double pivots. Now, essentially, you'll see here as well that I have set him to cover the center as well as stick to position. Quite often in possession and also out of possession, we would see the likes of Tielemans and Onana in those central zones, maintaining that good central presence, making it very difficult when the ball into those midfield zones to try and break up the midfield rhythm and play from the opposition. Your two fullbacks in Matty Cash and Lucas Digne had very similar roles when they did get forward. Now, Digne was allowed a bit more attacking freedom, whereas Matty Cash was a very balanced right back on the day versus West Ham, and I do suspect that that will be more or less the right back role for whoever is there, whether it's Consta, whether it's Matty Cash, or whether it's somebody else. So for the attacking runs for the right back position, you want him to maintain a balanced attack. Now, this will maintain that nice back three build-up structure and system, allowing Digne to flood forward and Matty Cash to stay back. But if the opportunities do present themselves, say the likes of Bailey does drift inside and there's not a lot of attacking presence down that right flank, the likes of Cash will get forward and whip in crosses or cutback opportunities for the attackers in and around those attacking zones. Now, when he does get forward, you want him to consistently overlap the right midfielder and provide a lot of the width down that right flank. Whereas the likes of the left-hand side in Lucas Digne, like I mentioned, a bit more of the attacking fullback of the two, and due to the fact that McGinn does drift inside, it does vacate that wider left channel. So that is why you want him bombing forward and attacking that more or less vacated area. So when he does get forward as well, you want him to overlap and whip in crosses or cutback opportunities. And then finally, for both of the fullbacks, they'll be set to stick to position. You don't really want or require them stepping up and maybe exposing the backline regions. The role of the two centre-backs in Konsa and Torres, they will be set to their base instructions. Now, what I can suggest you do is, if you would like to, set the likes of Pau Torres specifically to join the attack. Now, this can also work against you as it can leave your defense slightly exposed. But quite often we would see Torres collect the ball and then run with it further forward, or just run into those more slightly advanced attacking zones and be a bit more involved in the attacking outlets. Now, essentially, like I mentioned, it can work against you as it can leave you quite light at the back. So I've just left it on a balanced role for both Torres and Konsa, but both of these players will be very involved in that first phase build-up play, whilst also looking to collect the ball, recycle the play, and also run with it further forward, pushing the whole team higher up the field and creating overloads and certain run patterns to alter, and that can lead to quite a good overload or an attacking outlet down either the left or the right hand channel. And then finally, the goalkeeper in Martinez will be set to come for crosses, as Emi Martinez is fantastic at being able to claim those aerial threats. Now, essentially, he is a decent sweeper keeper, but I have left him unbalanced as he does like to make sure that he is staying on his line, making those 1v1 type saves, and you can more naturally hold down triangle and bring him out of the box if you would like. But for the time being, in an Emery system, a balanced, saving outside of the box role for your goalkeeper would best suit him. Martinez is very good at being able to play from the back in that first phase, very composed under pressure, but he's also not opposed to launching the ball long, maybe finding a longer pass into the forward line. So he can very much have that in his arsenal when looking to build the attacks. And there we go, people. That is how I would replicate and recreate the evolving Unai Emery Aston Villa tactics for FC24. I do hope you have enjoyed this video. If you don't mind smashing that like button down below, it would mean the world to me if you could also subscribe and join the journey on the road to 10,000 subscribers. That would be fantastic. Please go ahead and hit that big red subscription button, as well as if you would like to join up with the Brom Squad Gaming Discord server, the link will be down below in the description for you to go ahead and click on. We chat everything FC, we chat everything football. The Premier League's just started, so we are having some good chats about that. So yes, I would welcome you with open arms. Anyways, until the next time, until the next one, I hope you have a smashing goddamn day, and I'm out of here. Peace.